What's up, guys? You know it's your boy Young Jiggy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for just reacting with us, and I would appreciate if you guys just subscribe to my channel, like and share, and let's just have fun over here and build amazing channel. So today we're gonna react to a Harvard physicist, one of mysterious interstellar objects. So that's the three-eye atlas. So they said it was going around the moon and or the sun, and it's gonna shoot back off in space, but they're saying it's not moving like an asteroid, so it may be an alien craft. You never know what it is. So let's just watch and react and see what's going on. So let's get it.
Yeah, there is a lot of misinformation. Some people said I invented Three-Eye Atlas, this object, in order to distract attention from the Epstein files.
Is that what
Man.
you're saying?
Yeah, and I said, look,
Yo, how are you gonna make a craft that's flying in space? Yo, people could say some dumb shit sometimes, bro. Like, sometimes people, they make up shit in their head, bro, and think it's real. Come on, man.
this object is the size of Manhattan Island. It's at 4.5 times the Earth-Sun separation.
Right.
If I was able to put it out there, I would be more powerful than the Pope. And because we're talking about a giant object that you can see from any place on Earth. You can buy online
Right.
a telescope that will allow you half a meter in
You know
size,
what?
will allow you to see it.
I'm
It's
gonna
out
buy
there.
a telescope.
It cannot be
I'm gonna try to
faked.
get one.
Well, those people are fools.
I'm gonna get one of those and start. I'm
I
gonna
don't
start be a
listen to those. I
physicist
don't listen to many people.
or a physician or what you call them.
Initially, a lot of people were dismissing your concerns, and they were saying that this object is nothing but a comet, and it's very normal. But then, as it got closer and as we got more data, it seems like you're correct.
Well,
This is a very unusual object.
there is something really important to recognize here, that usually when you deal with scientific matters, they have very little impact on the future of humanity.
Right.
Very little. If the neutrino has a little bit of a mass, doesn't really matter. When we discovered the Higgs boson, the biggest impact was to confirm some idea we had back in the 60s. And, obviously that affected, those people who got the Nobel Prize. But most of us continued as if nothing happened. However, here, if we ever encounter alien technology,
Right.
everything will change. It will affect the financial markets. It will affect politics in a major way.
You damn right. It would. Everyone would go crazy. The whole globe, the whole world would just go bizarre. You shit. Everything gonna crash. Stock market gonna crash also. So, damn.
So my point is simple.
That
This
would
is
be
different than
shit.
other scientific
I wouldn't
matters.
know what to do,
And the
man.
intelligence agencies know very well that events with
Maybe
very
I'd
small
go to
probability
Jamaica.
have to be
Shit, but I
considered
can't even go to
seriously
Jamaica.
because
Because
they
Jamaica messed
they
up.
could have major implications. Just think about October 7th. The Israeli intelligence agencies had a theory that the Hamas will do nothing. And they got data that indicated something is going on out there. But they dismissed it because of their theory. Now, because as a result of their mistake,
Right.
which was clearly a blunder, a lot of people died on both sides. This
Sad.
could have been avoided if they were to consider a black swan event, an event that you put a small probability for it happening, but you look at anomalies in the data and say, look, the implications are so huge, we have to consider it. And this idea was already considered by the
Sad,
philosopher
man.
and mathematician Blaise Pascal.
R.I.P. to
He talked
everyone
about
that
God.
passed away back
And he said, look,
over in that fight.
of course, you might think that God doesn't exist. The probability for that is small, but the implications, if God exists, the implications are so huge that we have to discuss it. That was the argument, Pascal's wager. And the intelligence agencies know that. Believe me, the Israeli intelligence agencies will not make that mistake again. Now, here comes an
They
object
shoulda
from
take
outside
heed.
the solar system, and it shows anomalies.
They shoulda take heed, man. So much people died, man. What? It been what, 2 years now? I think Donald Trump just signed some type of treaty. It's sad, bro.
The scientists would say we should be as careful as possible at talking about anything other than a rock. Now, they say that when they know that humanity launched a lot of space junk, a lot of technological objects to space, and we also know that there are 100 billion stars like the sun in the Milky Way galaxy alone. Most of them formed billions of years before the sun, and there are billions of Earth-Sun analogs. Now, we all believe that we came out of a soup of chemicals. That's the scientific narrative of how human intelligence came on this Earth. And so it's quite likely that, we are not the first one. Sorry to break the news, Elon Musk was probably not the most accomplished space entrepreneur since the Big Bang, 13.8 billion
But
years
he's
ago.
doing a lot, though.
And
He's doing a
therefore,
lot.
we
He's
should
not the first, but
consider
he's
the
doing a lot.
possibility that things like us existed long before us. And
Right.
you can ask the question, how long does it take our own technology, the Voyager spacecraft that we launched out of the solar system, how
Right.
long does it take it to move to the opposite side of the Milky Way galaxy?
A long time.
Thousands of light years away.
Yep.
Takes less than 1 billion years. And that means
That's a
that all
long
these
time.
civilizations that had their history initiated billions of years before ours
Right.
could have done it.
True.
And all we need to do as responsible scientists is to check if
That's right.
among all the rocks that come from outside of our backyard are really rocks, or maybe one
But-
of these objects might be a tennis ball that was thrown by a neighbor.
But not all of those are comets. Not all. Some things past us and we don't even know what the shit is, They think everything is comet. They see everything they think is comet. So you have to check everything.
And the reason
For
I say
real.
that is, we live at our home, on Earth, next to the sun. We look around us in the cosmic street, and we see a lot of houses just like ours. There are billions of them, probably.
Right.
Now, my colleagues, those scientists who think traditionally, they say, well, microbes came to Earth very early, therefore they must be everywhere. So let's define our highest priority, searching for microbes on other houses in our cosmic street. And I say, good, you can do that from the vantage point of your home. You can look through the window and search for microbes in your neighbors' yards. But you would need to put $10 billion to develop a big enough instrument that would be able to detect the chemical fingerprints of microbes,
Right.
on exoplanets. And think about the possibility that there is a resident in one of those houses. That resident might show up in your front door.
That's
at
your
some
neighbor.
point. Or you might see an object that arrives to your backyard or your mailbox from
Right.
A
a resident.
black swan event.
A black swan event. Or you might see some construction project from a distance. That might be easier to detect than microbes. So
Right.
we should hedge our bets. We should invest billions of dollars on both fronts. At the moment, the scientific community is willing to allocate more than $10 billion to searching for microbes,
Right.
but no recommendation is made to allocate any federal funding to the search for intelligence. And I say that is an oversight.
Let's go back to one more time.
Oumuamua.
Okay, I don't want to screw it up.
More.
How large was that?
That's like
That was the size of a football field.
the second
So
Of all the
asteroid, right?
small in comparison to 3i Atlas.
Oh yeah, that's my
Yeah.
point. That 3i Atlas is 1,000,000 times
I
more
think
massive. At least
Oumuamua
1,000,000
was
times
like
more
the
massive
second
than
one,
Oumuamua.
right?
And I
don't think
immediately,
that was-
as it
that was
was
the first
discovered,
one.
it was July 1st, and my wife asked me to go on vacation to Aruba 2 days later.
Damn, I've
And,
been to
as I
Aruba
was
too.
Going on the
I'ma
plane,
take my
and as
wife
I
there.
arrived there, I realized, wait, that doesn't make sense because we should have seen millions of Oumuamuas before we saw this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's so big. And I also realized there is not enough rocky material per unit volume in interstellar space to deliver such a giant rock
Right.
into the inner solar system within a period of a decade. You would expect it at the very optimistic scenario where you package all the material into objects that are 5 kilometers in diameter. You would imagine once per 10,000 years. So I wrote
Damn,
immediately a
once
scientific
per
paper. My wife was
10,000
not
years?
happy that, on our vacation, I was sitting on
I thought space was like all rock and shit floating around, and I think like the rocks they just travel in one line. Damn. So the rocks came from far to come in our galaxy.
my computer, but I just couldn't resist it.
Right.
And by the way, this paper I submitted for publication, that was July 3rd or something, and then the editor said, oh, the paper is fine, but you have a concluding sentence at the end where you say, well, unless the object is smaller than estimated, maybe it was targeting the inner source. That was my solution to say, one way out of this dilemma of why is it so big is if it was targeting the inner solar system by design.
Right.
And indeed, the trajectory is aligned with the plane of the planets around the sun to within 5 degrees. The chance for that at random is 1 in 500, okay? And it's moving in a retrograde trajectory opposite to the motion of the planets, which is ideal for it to release mini probes that will get into the planets. It gets close to Mars, it gets close to Jupiter, it goes on the opposite side of the sun relative to Earth when it's closest to the sun.
So that spaceship now, right? It's like a spider, a spider that have all their babies on their back, and then when they go close to a certain place where they want to be at, and then they let their baby goes. So that's how that spaceship letting go their little probes are what you call them. Damn, bro, that's crazy, man. I tell you, shit is out there, man.
And that's the time when a
lot of
spacecraft will
craziness.
do a maneuver to take advantage of the sun's gravitational assist.
Right.
All of these are interesting indications that may imply that some intelligence designed the trajectory. So I had one sentence at the end of the paper saying, maybe the trajectory was designed. And the editor said, no. The paper will not get published unless you remove that sentence.
Wow.
Yo, you hear that? You heard that, my people? He said because he had that on the paper, right? They won't publish it. So you see, they're the part of the government that control things. He's a scientist. He's from Harvard, right? And he putting out things, and they don't want him to put out it because they know it could be true. That's messed up, man. That's why those are the things they're hiding from people. They don't want those stuff to get out there. Those things that people could understand what's going on. They don't like that shit, man. That's crazy.
So now when you listen to comet experts,
right,
that say, well, this claim or that claim was never published in a peer-reviewed journal, guess what? They are the editors or the reviewers who are blocking
same thing I just said, right?
discussion.
The same thing I just said.
And I think it's
They're the one publishing those paper.
Because
those the one that publishing those paper. Certain things that these scientists write, they can't publish them because those people don't want to publish those stuff. They gotta change up the things that they saying, That's crazy, bro.
it could be a black swan event. It could be something that affects the future of humanity, and if we behave very conservatively,
right,
we might not last very long.
Shit.
It's arrogant.
Yeah. This
Right. It is arrogant.
It shows that there's no iron.
Oh no. So then the composition of the plume of gas
so
around.
This is before you knew about the composition.
That's right.
They said they had ice, water.
As time is going
around
on,
it.
you are being shown to be correct.
Well, we
Or-
found more anomalies.
More anomalies.
More
So
anomalies.
this is
So
not
for-
a normal thing.
Not a normal thing. So for one thing, there was a glow that looks like an extended feature. And everyone said, oh, that's a tail. That's the signature of a comet.
Right.
And I said, wait a minute. It's pointing towards the sun. It's not pointing away from the sun. Usually cometary tails are made of dust and gas,
Right.
which is pushed back away from the sun.
So it's
by
like
the
it's
radiation and the solar
moving.
wind, you know. And so this one was pointed towards the sun, not away from the sun. And the question is,
So it's
why?
pushing
And
towards the sun?
Actually, I calculated that, you know, it appeared very clearly in the sharpest image we had from the Hubble Space Telescope, which showed an elongation by a factor of 2 towards the sun. But we were looking at it like a cigar. We were looking almost along the cigar long axis, within 10 degrees of the object sun axis. So we were looking almost edge on. And I calculated if you were to correct for that, this
Right.
would be a feature that is 10 times longer than it is wide. You know, and that means
Damn,
it's
man.
like a jet. So the object had a jet in front of it towards the sun. The question is why? And, you know, the comet experts ignored it and just said, well, you know,
Damn.
comets are strange. You know, who knows? But my point is, this
See?
is a blind date.
Yeah.
Interstellar.
Yo, it's crazy. He's a real scientist, and he's telling the people what's going on, and they don't want to take it in consideration. So that you think they're gonna be real to us and tell us the truth? Nah, they're not going to. They're not gonna tell us the truth.
Portions. And my advice on blind dates is not to speak or say what you think this is, but
Right.
to observe the other side. You know, the best way to respond to a blind date is to observe the other side. Don't speak. Just observe the other side because it may be different.
That's so
than what
true.
you think, and maybe,
You go on a blind date,
on
you
one of the
cannot talk,
dates
you gotta
have a
observe the
serial
girl.
killer on the other side.
Oh, boy. Now, explain, if you could, how we know the composition of this
Right.
thing.
So we can figure out composition of a plume of gas by taking a spectrum of it, which means you basically have some kind of a prism that breaks, you know, that a light with different wavelengths is bent at different angles, and so you spread the light into the different colors. And if you do that, you can find the fingerprints, the spectral fingerprints of specific atoms or molecules.
Right.
Because each atom or molecule has transitions. I actually taught it just 2 days ago in a class that I teach that is mandatory, obligatory at the Harvard Astronomy Department, where I was chair for a decade, you know, like between 2011, 2020. So this is the mandatory class, and I just taught how, you know, spectral lines emitted by atoms and molecules just 2 days ago. So this is a very well-known thing, and we know the wavelengths of those, and we use them to identify the composition. You know, we know which atoms produce these spectral lines, the fingerprints. It's just like fingerprints, okay? And so what was found, you know, and that's by multiple teams, there are 3 papers on that, we found nickel, a lot of nickel, but very little iron. At first, no iron whatsoever. Now, usually in all the comets in the past, from the solar system and also from interstellar space, there is one comet,
Yeah.
Borisov, that was found. It's the second interstellar object, which looked just like a familiar comet. I had nothing to say about that one. It looked like a comet, behaved like a comet. It was a comet.
Right.
But it had similar abundances of nickel and iron. The only place where we found before much more nickel than iron is in alloys that we produce industrially. For example, for aerospace applications. Nickel alloys have a lot of nickel, no iron. So maybe the skin of this object is industrially produced. That was my suggestion. But what the authors of these papers said is maybe nature is capable of going through the same chemical pathway of producing nickel without iron as we do in our industries. So they made the conjecture that this carbonyl pathway, which is well known in the industry world, carbonyl is the pathway, the name of the pathway, they said, well, maybe this carbonate pathway happens in nature. We have never seen it before, but
Man, oh man. It's crazy, man. Basically what he's saying, right? This comet that the government or these NASA people talking about, it's not a comet. It's real. It's an alien probe. And they don't want to tell us the real story behind it. He trying to tell us, he trying to publish stuff, but they want him to switch up his words while he's trying to tell us. You know, so the truth will never be told. And it's just like that, you know. So, but the video came to an end, and as I say, I appreciate you guys for kicking it with me here. And I really want you guys to, you know, go leave a like. Please subscribe to my channel and share. You know, I'm going to catch you guys later. Take care of you guys self, and you know it. I'm out. See you.